What's going on, everyone? So now that Lauri Markkanen is going to be extended by the Utah Jazz, kind of begs the question of which direction and how are the Jazz going to now approach this offseason, right? So Utah is kind of like they have money, right? They have room, right? Like, do they become a team that starts taking on guys because they're like, we're gonna have to pay Lauri Markkanen like 40 plus million beginning next year. It's kind of the year that we can just kind of bring on a bunch of guys and stack up assets and stuff, and then kind of maybe make a push in the offseason to kind of build more around Lauri Markkanen and maybe get some upgraded players, right? Do they kind of go the, hey, we'll be the third team in various trades, because that could be huge and a real opportunity for the Lakers, right? Because the Lakers could, there's a lot of teams that aren't really interested in D'Angelo Russell, that maybe Utah's like, hey, we'll take D'Lo, he's an expiring contract, throw us a second our way, and we'll help you, navigate that deal. Right? And now maybe the Lakers could end up, pulling something off to get one of these various players that the Lakers are linked to. Maybe they can be a team that helps in a Wendell Carter Jr. or a Jeremy Grant trade or something like that. And maybe we could keep like a Gabe Vincent in the deal, right? Because, maybe you can, or maybe you pull off a secondary trade, right? So if they're willing to kind of be that third team that is willing to kind of be in the mix and throw their hat in the ring with everybody, that could be a benefit for the Lakers. Two other options would be, one, do they just kind of have a fire sale, right? Do they just go, okay, we have Lauri Markkanen, we're going to have to start paying him 40 plus million. If we're going to do that, we should probably try to build a real team that can compete, right? So what guys are not part of that plan, right? Do they look at it and go, let's really start going and trying to get guys that we kind of value in other areas, or, guys that we can unload and stuff, right? Do they look to go and maybe get off of a Colin Sexton? Do they actually look to get off of a Walker Kessler? There we go. Do they look to maybe kind of go, okay, well, we don't really like Walker Kessler as our center of the future. Let's go, even though he's so young. But maybe they are. Maybe they're more inclined to do that, right? Maybe they just unload everybody. Jordan Clarkson, you name it. If they're on the roster and their name's not Lauri Markkanen, boom, you can have them. It's always a possibility, right? And then maybe the Lakers could get in on a couple of those pieces, get in on a couple plays, right? Maybe you could, maybe they would be willing to take on, hey, we like a Rui Hachimura and kind of have, Rui or Rui at the four, or however they want to go about it, but like Rui and Markkanen, we really like those two as a pairing, right? Or maybe they would be open to like D'Lo. Let's get D'Lo in here. He's an expiring contract. Take him for a year. We can unload, a Colin Sexton, or maybe we can, give them Walker Kessler and get some firsts and stuff in the deal, right? Do the Jazz start now pivoting into a full-blown fire sale? Or do they go, we only want to trade kind of the around the edge guys, right? Like, we want to unload a Colin Sexton. We want to unload a Jordan Clarkson, but that's kind of it, right? And do they kind of do they just take themselves off the table entirely, right? And kind of go, okay, let's just kind of ride this season and then figure it out, maybe at the trade deadline or in next year's offseason, right? Like, it just, depending on which direction Utah now wants to go, there are several options in which the Lakers could really benefit, right? I would love, a Walker Kessler and a Colin Sexton. I'm all for that, right? You trade D'Lo in somehow. What if they're like, hey, we really like Jalen Hood-Schifino as our future point guard, right? And they're just like, right? But now that they have Lauri Markkanen and they're going to have to pay him 40 plus million a year, I almost feel like they're going to be a team that kind of looks for more complementary players and players that they think are better now, rather than like necessarily young guys, right? Because again, Lauri Markkanen's 27 years old, right? So, I don't know if Utah's going to be able to trade Lauri now, right? A lot of people think like he's still going to maintain his value. I don't know. There weren't that many teams that threw their hat in the ring for Lauri Markkanen now, because they knew that they were going to have to pay him 40 plus million. And now that he's at 40 million, how many teams are willing to stack up enough salary to take on Lauri Markkanen, who, again, he's being paid as if he's your number one or number two guy. He's not a number one or number two guy. Right? He's best probably as like your third guy. Now, he is a real plug-in. Like, you could plug in Lauri Markkanen on every team in the league, right? Because he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He's excellent off ball. He's got excellent size that you can't teach. He has some tools. I do think he'll have some value, right? But, like, a lot of people think Zach LaVine, right? Like, Zach LaVine has no value, and people don't want Zach LaVine on the roster. But then in the same breath, they'll be like, oh, but we should go trade the farm to go get Lauri Markkanen. And it's like, Zach LaVine's played more games than Lauri Markkanen has the last 5 years. The most games Lauri Markkanen has ever played, is 68 games. That was his rookie season. And then second most was 66, right? And that was 2 seasons ago. So you're talking about a guy that's now making 40 plus million that can't play 70 games. That's not good, right? Like, yeah, he's an all-star level player, but the best ability is availability, right? At least Zach LaVine, you look at the last few years, he played 77 games and 67 games. And, like, you know, it's just, I don't know how much value Lauri Markkanen is going to have after this season, right? Again, teams were banging down the door to give up a bunch of assets for Lauri Markkanen. So Utah might not have a choice but to kind of go, hey, let's build around Lauri Markkanen. But he's 27. I mean, it's not old, but it's not young. He's not 23. So do they look to go, hey, you know what? Let's get off of a Walker Kessler because we really like, a Rui. We just think Rui would be better. So, yeah, he's not a center, but we can maybe go get a more ready now center down the road with some of the picks, right? Do they start trying to expedite and getting pieces now, right? Again, I don't know. Maybe Utah just kind of goes, we'll just kind of play it out, see how it goes. Right? And, the Lakers, maybe they are still willing to kind of be that third team and go, hey, we'll take D'Lo because he's expiring. All right? You want to have us take on D'Lo? Give us a second, stack up some picks. Maybe we can make some moves. Right? Maybe look to flip him and Sexton and all that other stuff at the trade deadline. Right? And they can kind of be the team that facilitates everything. It's always a possibility. But, do they look to start getting off some guys because they're like, hey, we need to kind of retool this thing now, right? Let's get back to the drawing board, right? We need, they might be a team now that really values D'Lo because of his expiring contract. They might be able to go, hey, wait, we can get off of some money here. We get off of some 18.6 million now, right? Or get on some of these guys, like, hey, like we could take on Rui. He's only got another year after this year, right? Like, so, maybe we do something like that. So, again, like, depending on the direction in which Utah wants to go, the Lakers could kind of use Utah as, like, that leverage team, right? Like, hey, we could just do a Utah trade, right? We go get Colin Sexton, we go get, whatever, player X, right? Walker Kessler, ideally, would be great. We could go do something like that. Also, is this like the domino that kind of gets things going now? Is this the domino that kind of starts moving the needle a little bit? Right? Is this now that Lauri Markkanen's off the market, do now teams, does it take teams out of the conversation because they're like, we're not going to go trade for, Jeremy Grant, right? Like, we're not going to go trade for that. And they just kind of take themselves off the market. And, that could be potentially good for the Lakers. Or do some of these teams start going, do the Warriors go, hey, we couldn't get a Lauri Markkanen, let's go get a, Cam Johnson now. And now they're trying to push for something like that. And it's like, that's a guy that the Lakers really wanted. Or do they throw their hat in the ring for like a Jeremy Grant? Like, like this potentially could be the thing that swings things one way or another. Or it could be the thing that goes like, Utah couldn't even get a trade done for Lauri Markkanen, right? Like, are we really going to be able to get a bunch of stuff for Jeremy Grant? Maybe we should lower our price, right? Could be wishful thinking, but I do think that this is going to have some impact one way or another, right? Because at worst, it has an impact on the Jazz, because now the Jazz have to make a decision. The Jazz have to look at this and go, okay, what are we doing? Are we hitting the reset button? Are we just kind of riding out the year and seeing where we go, and we'll kind of figure it out in the off season? Next off season, are we, having a fire sale and basically shipping off everybody but Lauri Markkanen, and then kind of just trying to get, piece here, piece there that we like, that we need, right? How much value do some of these guys have, right? Are they even able to trade some of these guys? Like, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of hey, maybe the Utah Jazz, they're a team that we can kind of get in the mix, help us with 3-team deal, help us with this, that, and the other? Or do you think no, they're probably just going to stay in pat, not really make many moves, if at all? Now, would you be okay with Colin Sexton or something, right? Again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.